Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Julie here. I'd like to welcome you to my Crackin the Whip three-part training video series for nurse aide instructors. In Series 1, I discussed time management, and in Series 2, I talked about creativity and student engagement. In this last series, Series 3, I'm going to talk to you about challenging or unwanted student behavior and how you can diffuse those behaviors. But as always, before I get started, I just want to remind you to smash that subscribe button, especially if you are new to my channel. Click the like button on this video and all of my other videos. You doing so will make my channel more recognizable to folks searching in YouTube, and also it will help make locating my channel easier, not only on YouTube, but also in Google. And then you don't want to forget to ring that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I upload new content. So there are two variables that I believe are extremely important when it comes to challenging or unwanted behaviors. And one variable does not trump the other. As a matter of fact, they're of equal importance. One variable is getting to know your students. I mean, really getting to know them, not just as students, but as people. Now, if you're instructing high school students, because of educational laws and policies, you're really not allowed to pry into your students' personal lives. You can't even open the door, right, and walk in. However, if your student opens the door and invites you in, look out. Now you can start asking questions, okay? But the only way that your students are going to invite you in that door is if he or she trusts you and feels comfortable with you. And the only way you'll be able to influence trust and comfortability with your students is you being admirably sincere in meeting their learning needs and sincerely caring about their success, not only in the training program, but in life itself. Remember in Series 1 when I discussed time management and effectively consuming time in the classroom? I talked about declaring classroom guidelines and how important it is for you to do so day one of training. Well, the second variable needed to assist you with challenging or unwanted student behaviors is the declaration, the implementation, and the maintenance of those classroom guidelines. Students are not going to know what is expected of them unless these guidelines are in place. When you have set the norms for your classroom and you're ensuring that these norms are being implemented and maintained with both rewards and disciplinary measures, you usually won't experience too many challenges or too many unwanted behaviors. Of course, you're going to have that one, maybe two students who will try to test the limitations of these norms, but usually these behaviors can be diffused before evolving into extreme behaviors. So the three most common unwanted behaviors that I want to focus on in this presentation are behaviors that I think all of us deal with, sometimes on a daily basis. The use of cell phones in the classroom during instruction, absenteeism, and sidebar chatter. Now, if you really think about it, these three behaviors are items that you should be addressing in your classroom guidelines or norms. The use of cell phones and sidebar chatter can usually be easily diffused with reiterating the guidelines throughout the training cycle. Attendance issues, well, that's another item that or that's really like in a room by itself. With absenteeism and attendance issues and tardiness, that is going to have to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. So I actually came up with an acronym, RID or RID, to help you face these behaviors head on and to help you better understand how the two variables, getting to know your students and declaring, implementing, and maintaining classroom guidelines, fit snugly within this acronym. The R is for recognizing the behavior. The I, identify the cause. And D is to diffuse or de-escalate the behavior. So knowing your students will help you to recognize when they are acting other than their normal self, right? This knowledge will also help you to avoid any type of stimuli that may prompt or kickstart unwanted behaviors. For example, when you have a lot of downtime between lectures or activities, students do tend to pull out their cell phones or start chattering amongst themselves. Having everything set in place and ready to go for all lectures and or activities you'll be presenting during class time will avoid this stimulus, right? It will decrease or even eliminate the usage of cell phones during instruction, or even, diminish or eliminate the sidebar chatter. So because behaviors are considered to be a form of communication, it's strategic that we as instructors try to identify the cause of such behaviors. And this is why it's vital. It is really vital that we get to know our students again, not only as our students, but as people, right? A lot of times with us knowing what events or situations are taking place outside of the classroom, it will be less troubling for us to determine that underlying cause. It's also essential to have a good working relationship with administration, teachers, and advisors or counselors, right? I make sure that that is one of the first things, at least within that first week of training, that I contact or I connect with my students' counselors and or advisors. These are the key people that could not only alert you about certain events or situations that the student may be experiencing outside of school, but these are the key people that could help you diffuse the behavior. So the last step in RID or RID, diffusing or de-escalating the behavior, will be less of an uphill battle if you already have plans in place to address different behaviors. For instance, when you're declaring your classroom guidelines, you may want to incorporate what disciplinary measure will be taken if and when certain guidelines are violated. For example, maybe one of your guidelines will address sleeping during class or sleeping in class, right? You could actually phrase that guideline as such. Sleeping in class will cause you to fail receiving important facts. Any student who is observed sleeping during class time will be directed to stand in the back of the class for 5 minutes. With guidelines as such, you're actually confronting the behavior of sleeping in class even before it takes place. And because your students are not only not only know the reason behind the guideline, but now they're aware of the consequence for such a behavior, lessening the occurrence of it actually happening. And again, it is very, very important to have a good relationship with administration, teachers, and especially your students' advisors or counselors, okay? Because those are the key people that can alert you, and talk with you about the background or the history of your student. Those are the folks that, can and will let you know if there's anything going on with your student outside of the classroom. And they're the experts, right? Excuse me, I can't talk. They are the experts when it comes to counseling and resources for behaviors. So you want to become best friends with those folks. If you do not teach millennials, let's say you teach adults, you want to make sure that you keep in close contact with your administration of your training site. So I'm just going to give you a couple of more. I'm going to give you a couple of more ways, or I don't know, I guess methods that could help you diffuse challenging behavior. And I really don't, I know in this presentation I keep saying challenging, but I think I like the word unwanted behaviors better, right? Because most of these behaviors, I mean, we as instructors, I don't think that we really experience any extreme behavior, but we do experience those unwanted behaviors, like with the cell phones and the sidebar chatter, like I had discussed previously. So I really, I guess I should have, titled this Unwanted Behaviors instead of Challenging. Now, for some instructors, I'm sure that it can be challenging if, day in and day out, they have to get on students about, the sidebar chatter or, absenteeism or cell phone usage during class. All right. So, hey, look, classroom guidelines, man, I'm telling y'all, you have got to declare these guidelines day one of training. And again, I mean, this is like a prelude, to diffusing or de-escalating any behaviors that may come about, right? And that's why it's really important for you to do this day one of training. Again, you not only want to set the norm, but you want to give the reason as to why this is the norm, okay? And to top it off, go ahead and put the consequence on there, okay? This is, this is the norm. This is why this is the norm. And this is what is going to occur or happen if this norm is violated, okay? Nip it in the bud, right? Nip those behaviors in the bud. Also, if you are teaching millennials, stay in contact with these, with your students' parents or guardians, okay? You got, you have some students whose parents are really, they're really involved in their education, and then you have some parents who aren't. Okay, but either way, if you start recognizing, a difference in your student. You want to contact their advisor. You want to let your administration of your training site aware. And you also, if they are millennials, you also want to make sure you make contact with your parent, okay? Because there could be something going on in the home, okay? And if you contact the child's parent, they would be able to tell you, what's going on. And then you'll have a better understanding, okay? If you are teaching adult learners, you may have, I don't know, some instructors say that it's easy, like, their adult learners are, really don't have too many behaviors. And then others, I know I taught adult learners, an adult class for several years. And I'm telling you, we as adults, we can act like kids. We sure can. We can act like kids sometimes. We can act like high schoolers, right? So, I guess you want to treat these behaviors in the same manner. The only thing is you can't go to their parents, right? Because they're adults. So with your adult learners, you want to make sure that you contact your administration or admissions people who are with your training site. Okay. And you got to remember too, and this is going to be a whole nother training video on adult learners. But even though you are their instructor in that classroom, you got to think about when you leave that classroom. When class is over and you and your students walk out the door, they are your equal. They're your peers, right? They're your equal. So you have to remember that. Okay. You got to remember that. Empathy. You want to be able to empathize with your students, okay? Because again, there may be stuff that they're going through. There may be stuff, situations or issues that they're dealing with outside of the classroom that you're not aware of. So, be empathetic. Be empathetic towards them, because a lot of times that's where, that is, what's causing unwanted behaviors. And then again, last but not least, people, utilize the expertise that you have on hand, the advisors, the counselors. If you're working in a school district, okay, use other teachers, use the expertise of your students as other teachers. A lot of times, I will have students in my class, and I'll have other teachers come and ask me, how is this student behaving? And I'm like, you know what? They are the perfect student. And when I tell them that, they're like, oh my gosh, you've got to be joking, right? Because when they're in my class, right? When they're in my class, it's like, I can't get them to stop talking. I can't get them to stop doing this. So you can, and if it's the other way around, y'all can talk to each other, and y'all can come up with different resources or resolutions to try to nip that behavior in the bud. Okay. Hey guys, I hope very brief training video. This is the last series of this 3-part series. And y'all know I'm going to end it the same way I started it. As always, just please keep in mind your students' performance is a reflection of your teaching, training, instruction, and your leadership. You need to eat, drink, and breathe this every single day you step foot into your classroom, okay? Your students' performance is a reflection of your teaching, training, instruction, and leadership, okay? So there comes a point in time where we as instructors, we have to stop looking at our students and start looking at ourselves, okay? We got to pull that mirror out and start looking to see what we can do better as instructors, especially if you are an instructor who has a low first-time pass rate, okay? Your students are not successfully, completing their state certification exam the first time around. We got to start looking at ourselves and continue to strive to be great, continue to strive to be inimitable. Hey, before I leave, again, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, kick the like button on this video and all of my other videos. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload new content. As always, I thank you so much for supporting me and supporting my channel. If you know any other instructors out there that could benefit from my channel, please tell them to come to my channel and hit that subscribe button, okay? There's going to be more videos to come. Thank you so much.